Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'll be sharing some cards I made using Photo Play's Grad Day paper collection. So this is a 12 by 12 paper pack. There are 6 different sheets of double-sided paper and you'll get a bonus sheet since there's a pattern on the back of that front cover. So that's really nice. So I'll flip through these really quickly. You can see most of the designs are black and white. There's just that pop of yellow on a couple of the papers. That way you can bring in the colors of your graduate school, or you can stay with the classic colors of the black, white, and gray, especially if you don't know the graduate school colors. Now my son is graduating from high school this year. I cannot believe this is already happening. So we know lots of graduates. So I decided I needed quite a few graduation cards this year. For my first set of cards, I'm using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 537. I have that fun sort of a chain looking pattern paper for the background. I used an oval die for the image with all the little graduation icons. I have some yellow cardstock that has a pearlescent finish for the strip that goes across the card. And just to add a little extra sparkle, I'm using some gold holographic peel-offs from Love from Lizi. I'm using the narrowest width, just putting it along the edge of that yellow cardstock. Then I'll layer this panel on some black cardstock. As indicated on this sketch, I will have that oval going off the edge on the right-hand side. First, I'll add some scrap cardstock to the upper portion of the oval just to keep everything at the same level. I'll grab some liquid adhesive, put it on the back, leaving just that right side without adhesive since I will be trimming that off. So I'll flip over this panel and cut off the very edge of that oval. I can put my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. And all of my cards in this video are A2 size, so 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I'm using the sentiment Congrats. This is from Doodlebug Designs All Occasion stamp set. Stamped it using some black ink and it's on some gray cardstock. Cut a fishtail on the left side. Did add some scrap pieces of cardstock on the left side where it goes off of the oval and then adhere it to the card. Then for a finishing touch, I'll add a couple of mini star peel-offs in the gold color, and these are also from Love from Lizi. So there is my finished card, and I did make a total of 4 using this card design. I tried to keep most of my cards fairly flat so I'll be able to mail them and not pay any additional postage. Now moving on to card design number 2, I'm using a card sketch from Mojo Monday. This is number 559. And if you are interested in any of the sketches I share, I have all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. I'm using some yellow cardstock for the background. It has a pearlescent finish on it. Have that striped paper for the lower portion. I'm adding some gold holographic peel-offs between those 2 pieces, and I only needed to add a very small amount of the peel-offs. And those were the straight design, so they're a little wider than the pinstripe. Put my card front onto a card base after I layered it on some black cardstock. Now for that larger square, I used that graph white and gray pattern paper. Put some scrap cardstock on the upper portion before adhering it to the card. And then instead of the square that's indicated on the sketch, I used the pattern paper that has all those different sentiments and cut out this rectangle piece. Try to make sure not to cut any of those sentiments apart. And then layered that on some black cardstock. Finish off the card, I'm adding some gold holographic stars. And I did pop those up using some thin foam squares. And I'll also add a few of the mini star peel-offs, this time in the gold mirror color. Just put a couple of them around the other stars. So this card has a lot of extra sparkle. So there's my finished card, and I did make a total of 4 using this card design. Now moving on to card design number 3. The card sketch is from Call Me Crafty Al. This is one of her sheet loads of cards. It's the May 2021 sketch. I'm using that same black pattern paper that I used on card 1, the little lines and the circles. For that larger square, I have the star paper. Using the graph paper for this banner, just layering everything on some black cardstock. And for the most part, I am following this sketch fairly closely. I won't be rounding the corners on that small banner though. I did have to trim down a little bit of that black cardstock around the star pattern paper. Cut it just a tiny bit too large. So put some liquid adhesive on the back of the star paper, adhere it to the card. You can probably tell in the video, the pattern paper does have a slight glossy finish on it. So just to make sure all of the pieces are going to stay in place, I did use a little more liquid adhesive for adhering the pattern paper. Before I adhere this banner, I will add that scrap piece of cardstock to the right side, and I did need to use 2 pieces. I'll put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it in place. I've already stamped out the sentiment, Happy Graduation, and this is from an older MFT stamp set. I'm not sure what the name is, but I know it's retired. I stamped it on some gray cardstock, and I'll layer it on some black cardstock. For the right hand side, I'll add some thin foam squares since it was the perfect thickness. On the left hand side where it goes off of that banner, I'll add some scrap pieces of cardstock. And I did end up needing 2 pieces. Put some liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it to the card. So I have that white area on the graph paper. I decided to add a couple of images. I'll be using the graduation cap and the diploma, and these are from Lawn Fawn's Smart Cookie stamp set. I did some simple coloring using my Copic markers, used the coordinating dies to cut those out, and just glued them above the sentiment. For a finishing touch, I'll bring in those mini star peel-offs in the gold mirror color and just add a few around the sentiment. So there is my finished card. I was only able to make 3 using the papers I had left over and this card sketch. Now moving on to my final card design, and this is a very simple card. I wanted to use some of the cut aparts on that 12 by 12 sheet. So for this card I have Your Future is Bright, and it's got the little light bulb. Using some diagonal stripe paper for the background, but just to add a little extra interest, I'm using the gold holographic peel-offs and adding a few extra stripes in the background. Since the center of the card will be covered, I don't need to have the peel-offs go all the way across the card. So I can cut them in smaller pieces. That way I'm not wasting all of my peel-offs. I am cutting the peel-offs just a little bit longer than the card base, and I'll take those extra ends and wrap them around the back. That'll just make sure they won't fall off later. So once I have all of those in place, now I can tuck those ends behind the back. I'll put some ATG tape, make sure to really focus it on the edge of those peel-offs. Layer this piece on some black cardstock. I can put my card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Then all that's really left is to add this cut apart panel. Put some liquid adhesive on the back and glue it to the center. So you can see how it covered up all of those gaps where there weren't any peel-offs. We'll also add a few of the mini star peel-offs in the gold mirror color. And this card is finished. Very simple. You could always add extra embellishments, but I was trying to keep them fairly flat. I did make a total of 5 cards using different cut aparts. For that very last card, I was out of the stripe paper, so I did use some of that star pattern paper for the background. Now here's a quick recap of the 16 cards I made using Photo Play's Grad Day 12 by 12 paper collection. If you're needing some quick graduation cards, this collection is perfect. I do have links provided in the description box for this paper collection and any of the other products I use that are still available. I still can't believe my son is graduating from high school this year. Does anybody else have a graduate as well? Maybe from college instead of high school? At least I still have several more years before my daughter graduates. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.